Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. It is I, Deimos, and since Season 8 just released on Apex Legends, I thought it'd be fun to revisit all the lore and get caught up with the whole story and what we currently know about Season 8. I hope all of you are enjoying the servers and the 30/30 spam as much as I am. Let's get right into this. Apex Legends released just over 2 years ago as a surprise release with really no publicity, and it has grown to be one of the most popular and, in my opinion, the best battle royale on the market, and it's easily the most lore-rich battle royale out there. Every character has an in-depth backstory that really sets them apart from the other characters and defines their abilities and playstyles. Bloodhound, a tracker who uses a mix of advanced gadgets and old-school knowledge to hunt down enemies. Pathfinder, a confused, happy-go-lucky robot whose main wish is just to understand his true purpose. Gibraltar, a protector with a heart as big as his dome shield. Wraith, a mystery. Wraith, like Pathfinder, doesn't really know her past and is in the games to try and find some answers. Lifeline, a medic who wishes to help others in any way possible. Bangalore, an ex-IMC soldier who uses her advanced combat knowledge to tip the scales in her favor in the Apex arena. Caustic, a stinky scientist with a knack for just pissing everyone off. And lastly, Mirage, a master of bamboozlement and an A-class sad backstory to match. These are the original legends that the game launched with, and we didn't know much about them or the Apex games at launch, except that the Titanfall universe and the Apex universe were very likely to be connected, which it turns out they are, and the Titanfall events play heavily into Apex lore the later into the seasons we get. Now this introduces us to Octane, who we meet in Season 1. Octane is a death-defying daredevil who suffered a loss of both legs after a stunt got a little out of hand. Lifeline helped Octane get some new legs, and now Octane competes in the Apex games as a way to grow his following, and what better way to serve up some adrenaline than being shot at. Lore-wise, this season didn't provide us with much, but later on in the season a laptop was found on the map, and it was almost as if someone had broken into the games. Right around this time, the repulsor tower failed as well, and the repulsor tower was responsible for keeping the creatures of Solace at bay, but now with it offline, Leviathans and Flyers were free to roam King's Canyon. And just as a final send-off from whoever infiltrated the games, an EMP blast was triggered, destroying the tower completely, and the ensuing wildlife destroyed many of King's Canyon's settlements and points of interest. The Syndicate, the group that runs the games, attempted to contain these creatures before the start of the second season, but couldn't. Now we meet Watson, who grew up on this island and helped design and create the ring technology. She was finally old enough to compete in the games, and Watson is a very sweet character who is extremely smart. She lost her father, so all the other competitors are really all she has, and she even looks up to Caustic as a father figure. In this season, a lab is unearthed known as Sing Labs, and this leads us to Wraith's backstory. I'll try and keep this as simple as possible, but interdimensional things are confusing and easily misunderstood. Wraith was always interested in the possibility of other dimensions, so she volunteered to be involved in the IMC experiment known as Project Wraith. Now the best way I can put this is the Wraith we play as in the game is the original Wraith that we see in the backstory video who is being experimented on, but she's not in the same dimension. Rather, a Wraith from a different dimension saved the original Wraith but stayed behind to finish her revenge mission. Same Wraith, different dimension. I'll link the Wraith backstory video for anyone who wants to watch it to maybe get a better understanding, and it's also just a really good video. Anyways, back to the hacker who EMP'd the repulsor and left us the laptop. He's back, and he's actually in physical form in the lab under King's Canyon. With Season 3, we meet Crypto, the hacker we were previously referring to. Secretly, he joined the games after he got word that the game organizers killed his sister. He created his crypto alias and hacked himself into the games to ensure his success in joining. While his plan was busted by the Syndicate, they allowed him to compete anyways, admiring his efforts to get into the games. But due to his methods of getting into the games, it brought some negative attention to him, so the Syndicate was going to be keeping a very close eye on him. Now we're on Talos, Bloodhound's home planet and home to World's Edge, a mining region of Talos where they mined for a rare resource. Eventually, one of the towers used to cool the volcanic planet exploded, causing a massive flash freeze event. The planet was uninhabited except for small communities of hunters. The planet was left in ruins, but its energy-rich soil did draw attention not only from Apex organizers, but also Hammond Robotics. Also near the end of Season 3, we got to enjoy a gift from Mirage, the Mirage Voyage, a flying party ship that's just as goofy as he is. Now we're meeting the newest Apex legend, Forge. Forge was the champion of the Federation, and he wanted a new challenge, and what better challenge than a blood sport. He even was sponsored by Hammond Robotics, making him the first and, as far as we know, the only legend to be sponsored by anyone. Hammond Robotics, however, had a darker side, and it eventually all caught up to them. Hammond had created a centuries-old simulacrum made for assassinating high-profile individuals. Like all programs eventually do, one day the creation malfunctioned, and after that malfunction, he exacted his revenge on every Hammond Robotics associate he could find. Forge, being both high-profile and a Hammond associate, put him on the list, and Forge was murdered by the simulacrum on live television. This caused a huge issue for the game organizers since their newest star was just killed, but they all agreed to try and get Revenant to compete, which he eventually agreed to. Also during this time, Hammond began excavations of the planet with their planetary harvester, which destroyed Capital City and opened many lava fissures in the surrounding area. Bloodhound's backstory was also released during this time, where we learned that their father was killed in the flash freeze incident, and Bloodhound went to live with their uncle Arthur, who lived off the land. This settlement hated technology, more than likely due to the tower explosion that made the planet even harder to live on than it already was. Bloodhound, however, went against this teaching against technology and learned that technology and the old ways could in fact mesh and be used as a powerful weapon. Later in Season 4, we once again have evidence of someone sneaking into the games and leaving clues around the area. We learn that this individual was on the hunt of their own, a hunt for Revenant. After killing relentlessly for hundreds of years, you're guaranteed to piss someone off, and that's exactly what Revenant did when he killed Loba's parents about 30 years prior. Loba, the baddie with a fatty. Loba entered the games in Season 5, and she entered the games with one goal in mind: kill Revenant. Loba learned deep under King's Canyon Revenant's head was hidden away, so that's exactly where she went to complete this mission. Now, I'll quickly explain what this means. Revenant was a simulacrum, a robot who had human consciousness uploaded into them. Under King's Canyon is where the actual head of that consciousness and Revenant was kept, so that's why Loba went down there to destroy the human mind behind Revenant. Down there was also hundreds of Revenant bodies and the single conscious mind behind the killer. In Loba's attempt, however, she set off security measures that teleported the mind to a completely different planet known as Sethly. This event led to a massive explosion and yet another destruction event on King's Canyon, destroying Skulltown, a true relic to the aggro players everywhere. Now, Loba just destroyed the entire stock of simulacrums, an entire town on King's Canyon, so she was going to be in a lot of trouble with the game organizers. But there was a hidden artifact somewhere on King's Canyon, and Loba's treasure hunting skills allowed a deal to be made that if Loba helped find this artifact, she could be let off the hook, and it would help lead Loba to truly destroy Revenant. During this, Loba led the Legends on a dimensional hunt for the artifact. Now, this artifact would help in destroying Revenant once and for all, so Loba didn't want him finding out for obvious reasons that they were looking for this artifact. But someone spilled the beans everywhere, named Caustic, and he pinned it on Crypto when it all came out. But this puts an interesting twist on this, because Revenant actually wanted to die, and he was happy to hear that they were closing in on his destruction. It was impossible for Revenant to kill himself, because it was against his coding, but someone else could do it, someone else being Loba. However, Loba dreamt of this great, sweet revenge, and something about Revenant wanting to die just took it away. She would be helping him and not hurting him anymore. The artifact that was found was the head of the simulacrum, Ash. Ash sort of freaked out when the head was placed on the body and spat out a bunch of strange words, namely Branthium, Samathi, and Olympus. Now this put Lifeline and Octane on edge due to a past history in Olympus that they were trying to run from. Revenant's head is on Samathi, which is where Olympus is, and also one more thing that took place during this season was Crypto found some footage of his sister that proved she was in fact alive and had not been murdered by the Syndicate, but that's really all we know on this. Moving into Season 6, we meet another Titanfall character by the name of Blisk. Blisk was in Titanfall 2, and he was an Apex Predator, a group of mercenaries who fought in the Frontier War before the Apex games. He was also a recruiter of sorts for the Apex games. Basically, it was his job to find suitable competitors. Now, Blisk vanished for a while, but eventually find him on Rampart's home planet. A group of thugs destroyed Rampart's workshop where she modded weapons, and shortly after that destruction, Blisk emerged and invited Rampart onto the games. Back on World's Edge, there's a rocket ready to launch to Olympus. Ash is found broken in a dumpster. Mirage and Rampart become roommates since flying party boats aren't exactly cheap, and Pathfinder finds Lev with Ash. Oh, and Blisk is back, except this time it's to take someone away. He takes Ash after some brief dialogue about an old friend. And that old friend was Horizon, and now we're on Olympus. So Horizon and Ash had a bit of a falling out when Ash sent Horizon to a black hole to get a rare mineral. Horizon got stuck in the event horizon of this black hole, and while to Horizon it was only about 300 days she was stuck there, due to time delay, it was actually 87 years. Horizon returned to Olympus to find her son dead, which was the only thing keeping her going while she was gone, and Olympus was the new Apex arena. Back to the Loba and Revenant beef, it is revealed that Loba and Revenant have a bloody battle where Loba announces to Revenant that she will not be killing him in that fight or ever. After Loba leaves, Revenant claims that he will kill Loba, but not literally. He claims that he's going to patiently wait for something to come into Loba's life that she truly loves and take it away, and then make her suffer. Revisiting the snitching situation, Caustic still claims to Watson he didn't tell Revenant about the plans, but Watson, who looks up to Caustic, doesn't believe him one bit, and eventually he admits to lying, and then Watson forgives Crypto. Also, near the end of Season 7, we got the Fight Night Pathfinder video. It was very entertaining, but I think it left most of us with more questions than answers. Why is Caustic being hunted down, and what is Pathfinder's purpose? We still don't really know, but I wanted to include this because it directly impacts Pathfinder's lore, and I think it will be of heavy importance later on down the line as we go further into Pathfinder's lore. Now, Season 8 has just begun, but here's what we know so far. Now, when we first meet Fuse, there's an emphasis placed on a golden frag grenade that him and his friend found in some ruins. It seems whoever wins over the current holder wins the grenade. It's passed around a lot between the two, but it all ends up with Fuse winning at last and offering it to his partner as a final truce before he leaves for the Apex Games. Maggie is furious over Salvo joining Syndicate Space, and when Fuse tells Maggie he'll be Salvo's first fighter in the Apex Games, it seems to really upset his partner. A fight then ensues, and the grenade blows up and takes off Fuse's arm, which he actually leaves without, calling it a lost cause. Fuse is next seen in his introduction celebration to the Apex Games on a massive ship that's hacked by his old partner Maggie that we saw in the trailer. Shortly after the hack, Maggie aims the ship's cannons to the audience and begins firing into the crowds. Fuse destroyed the ship's tech and puts an end to the firing cannons, but Maggie has one final send-off. The surrounding area is full of explosives which are all set off and then proceed to further destroy King's Canyon, along with crashing the ship. In our first comic, we see Fuse ready to cut off his arm and present it to Maggie to meet her demands, as all the legends argue who should help cut off the arm. Luckily, no one cuts it off, and instead they all set out to track Maggie down, who likes to hang out around her crime scenes, and in this case, King's Canyon. That's all we know so far, and I'll keep you all updated, and I'll be uploading an updated Season 8 lore video at the end when we have all the comics available for the season. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like, and tell me in the comments your favorite season, map, and legend. I'll see you all of you in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day.